It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
No, no, no,
Yo, what's up? This is gonna be the update for Seismic Trap Saboteur that I posted at leak start that just destroyed all the early game with only a couple of Exile worth of gear. The most expensive piece was the 6-link chest, and otherwise the build was like 40-50 chaos. So most people played that. Obviously maybe they are not playing it right now because maybe they just got bored, but once you watch this video you will just start playing this build again. So I'm just gonna explain what I did. This is gonna be a fast guide because I have lots of guides coming this week. I just prepared a lot of ridiculously powerful broken builds over the last 2 weeks. Alright, there are gonna be lots of videos these days. Yeah. So yeah, first of all, cold iron points again for that +3 level of physical spell skill gems. But once you corrupt these, you can actually get spell damage implicit. That's why we are gonna get those, unlike the low budget version. I'm not sure about the prices right now obviously, but they can obviously increase after the video is out. So just buy these as soon as possible. These are because the cheapest weapons still for this build. They're actually still cheap, because normally maybe a bow with multi-craft can actually be better, but you don't even need that. Simply broken build. So just get these daggers with corruption, simple implicit spell damage as soon as possible. The devouring diadem helmet. The reason we are using this because we want to reserve more buffs so we can deal more damage, and that's pretty much it. Socket gems have 20% reduced reservation. That's why we need to put our buffs. And let me just check those. Skitterbots, because they just chill and shock the target, plus trap damage 10%. Zealotry for more spell damage and crit chance. Fright, more physical damage. Even if you are not in the radius, you can still just delete the bosses. So on some bosses maybe pride isn't even working because I just run away and still kill the boss in like 5 seconds. Simply broken skill, 100% gonna get nerfed in 3.16. And finally I'm also using an enlighten in this helmet, so I can just have more reservation. A level 3 enlighten, you don't even need a level 4. That's pretty much it about this helmet. And finally, Eldritch Battery. So we are actually using Inner Shield before mana. So because of that, on your rare items, maybe try to get those with Inner Shield base, you know. But I actually haven't done that much because we only use a gloves that can be rare. Other items are jewelry, and none of my jewelry has actually Inner Shield. So you don't need that much. But maybe if you can stick, just try to squeeze in, yeah, a little Inner Shield. Maybe it can be better for you if you're not comfortable for some reason. But normally you don't need that. I had something more than 400 Inner Shield, and that was enough because we just recharge the Inner Shield. We don't have any regeneration, those kind of stuff. You will just get that Inner Shield without doing anything at all. And while mapping, once you kill monsters, trigger level 15 Feast of Flesh every 5 seconds. So that will just consume corpses in the radius and just replenish your life and Inner Shield actually. So normally you don't need much Inner Shield pool, but again, if you maybe struggle for some reason, try to put some Inner Shield on your maybe jewelry. But that is not something that I did. For the enchant, I picked Seismic Trap, releases an additional wave, so that means that additional couple of million DPS for each trap. You don't actually need that because most boss just dies before the Seismic Traps can actually finish what they are doing. But I thought that maybe I will need this, but absolutely not. You can just use a regular helmet without any enchant at all, or just maybe get a reservation enchant and maybe skip Enlighten, I'm not sure. Or get another enchant that works for this build with other skill, maybe like Beard Trap, something that's on the market, alright, but in the end you can just skip the helmet enchant if you want. Body armor carcass check because it is cheap with corruption. I picked trap or mind jams +2 and damage at the same time. This is the only thing that I spend money actually. Most of the other pieces are only a couple of exile maximum. I also have a Minatour Kill. Maybe I will just put it right now again if I haven't put that already. With a Tabula rasa. So you can still kill bosses with that. Obviously you don't want to use that, but I just wanted to show you that you can still deal ridiculous amount of damage with only a Tabula rasa. But if you want the min-max, obviously a carcass check with at least 2 level. That is probably better for DPS. So try to get that jam level higher so you can deal more damage, because this is a spell build, so jam level actually provides a lot of DPS. Plus carcass check provides lots of area of effect, which will help with the clear, obviously. This skill also has a ridiculous amount of EOE. Lots of nerfs are coming, guys. Glows, a place to keep some resistances, and also I got some chaos resist. I actually have, let's just check, -4 chaos resist, almost 0, so I don't get one shot from, you know, Alhazmin or Chayula, those kind of bosses. So I wanted to also squeeze some chaos resist. Try to do that if you can on your rare items. Increase damage with hits against shield enemies, because this is a very cheap gloves actually. I bought this for, I'm not sure, maybe 80 chaos, 100 chaos, I'm not sure. It was under an exalt, I am really sure about that. Yeah. Life resist, increase damage against shield enemies, because our skidder bots actually chills, so this works all the time. Boots at 0 step, dirt cheap, stupid item. I just wanted to have more dodge, so I don't die, you know, because this is a trapper build, a life-based saboteur, so it's gonna be a little squishy if you are not careful. That's why we need more dodge. And finally a crit strike chance enchant, which is very easy to get. Just buy a couple of twice enchanted and you will probably get that in like 5 labyrinths at most, or maybe get help from your friends, because crit enchant is actually common enchant, so you can just get it easily. Because we are not critting at all, our traps are critting instead of us. This enchant is up all the times, 100% uptime on that huge crit chance, so you can hit that 100% crit strike chance. Actually my crit was 100% with the flasks up. So you can just push that crit strike chance easily with this enchant. A very cheap boots actually. Amulet, first of all, for the base type, if you still need some strength or intelligence maybe, alright, check that. Check your character, because you will need some intelligence for your daggers, you know, and you will need that strength for the jams, because we are using brutality support, which actually requires some decent strength. So make sure that you have enough strength and intelligence, so pick a base depending on that if you want. After that, the stats that you want, crit multiplier, and if you want to invest in further, obviously, plus level of physical skill gems or dexterity gems, because Seismic Trap is a physical and dexterity gem. So you want to push that gem level even further. Finally, resist and life to finish the amulet. For Anoint, I picked Arcane Potency for some extra crit and crit multiplier. If you want life, which you can obviously do because you don't even need this much DPS, just Anoint Constitution. So you can easily push above 5k life. Rings. One of my rings were my Vermilion ring because I wanted to push my health, HP even further. And also this build needs some strength and intelligence. That's why, again, these are the good places with the amulet also to keep those attributes, to hit that breakpoint so you can use your items and gems. So intelligence and strength depending on what you want. Obviously life and resistances. My rings do not even provide DPS. Diamond ring obviously provides crit strike chance. And these are actually very cheap rings. So you can see that most of my items are actually dirt cheap. The boots, the rings, the what's that? Helmet is actually normally without enchant, doesn't even worth anything. And again, you don't even need that enchant because the bosses will just die in a couple of seconds anyways. So this build is actually very cheap and deals ridiculous amount of damage. So gonna get nerfed. Again, I'm telling you 100% in 3.16. Finally a belt. Life and resistances again. Nothing much going on, no influence at all. Just crafted a damage from bench. It's an unveil from June, so if you don't have that, get help from someone else who has the craft. So if you want to get some additional damage, if you want maybe some influences, maybe get a hunter belt for some additional life. So try to build the character tanky if you want. Push that life, because you won't need much DPS after some point, because you will just kill bosses instantly anyways. I also put a Hypnotic Eye Jewel with life and crit multiplier. That's it in this belt, so make sure that you have a Abyss Jewel in this belt. So in this part I'm just gonna show you the cluster jewels real quick, and that's gonna be it. I'll maybe also explain a little bit in the gem section. So first of all, we are using 2 large clusters because physical builds can actually benefit a lot from cluster jewels, and these are common jewels. There are lots of results on the market, so you can just buy them easily at any point of a league. These are easy to craft jewels. That's why lots of results are on the market all the time. 8 points physical damage clusters. Iron Breaker for physical damage. Obviously we just want that percentage. Force multiplier, double damage and physical damage. Master the fundamentals, physical damage and elemental resistances, so you can keep your resistances easier. The other jewel is the exact same. Force multiplier, Iron Breaker, master the fundamentals, so buy 2 of these. After that I used some medium clusters for more double damage chance, pressure points, Skull Breaker for crit multiplier, maybe Basics of Pain if you don't have good crit chance, if you don't have a Battle Fate maybe. So that's why Basic of Pain will actually provide you some decent crit strike chance and also percentage damage. So try to get Skull Breaker or Basics of Pain with pressure points. Because I wanted more regeneration, I just also picked medium Surging Vitalities. Every 4 seconds regen 10% life over 1 second. I am using 2 of those, so that means 20% life regeneration in a second every 4 seconds. So huge regeneration, helps you heal your character faster. So only 2 passives. If you want more life, if your character is higher level, or maybe if you skip some DPS on the talent tree, you can maybe get 3 points. And also put some resistances in these small nodes, so you can keep those maybe resistances or attributes easier. But normally I just go for 2-point ones. For the mediums, I forgot to tell that, but you already know, 4 or 5 point clusters, you don't want 6. Alright, 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. For this one I only used 1 medium because this is a little special. Arcane Pyrotechnics. Gain Arcane Surge when your trap is triggered by an enemy. You will say, can't we use Arcane Surge on our mobility skill? Not for this build. Because we are playing with Devouring Diadem, that means that we have Eldritch Battery. This one here, the helmet gives this, so you don't need to get it on the talent tree. Spend Energy Shield before mana for skill mana cost. So that means that we are not actually using any mana. That's why Arcane Surge gem itself doesn't work while playing this kind of builds with Devouring Diadem helmet. That's why you want this cluster jewel Arcane Pyrotechnics. Otherwise, you cannot have Arcane Surge, which provides 10% more damage. So this will provide the most DPS for this build. But normally Path of Building cannot calculate this. As you can see, it is red. That's why there's this here. You don't normally use this setup. That's why I put this note. Don't use this. This calculates Arcane Surge. I just put a mobile skill with Arcane Surge so you can calculate. As you can see, this provides 400k for each pulse. With the 4 traps, a lot of waves. Just combine those. This notable here with Arcane Surge obviously provides millions of damage. So simply broken. And make sure that you put this kind of calculation if you want to see your real DPS. This DPS is, by the way, like 1 pulse, I believe. This is not DPS because the build has maybe like at least 50 million DPS once you throw 4 traps. As you watched in the clips, this is not the DPS actually. This is like maybe average hit. Yeah, it says average hit actually. Yeah, this is not DPS. This is the 1 hit damage. And for rare jewels, obviously life, because this is an area skill and physical skill, you can put physical damage, area damage, but obviously crit multiplier is the best DPS stat. So apart from those, crit multiplier while dual wielding, because we are using 2 daggers, that means dual wielding. Crit multiplier for spells or global crit multiplier. Again, life, area damage, dual wield crit multiplier. Let's see if I have any other rare jewels. Physical damage, area damage. I believe I kept my fire resistances with this. That's why this is actually not that super. This doesn't even have crit multiplier, yeah. So not a crazy jewel. And nothing else to say. We have Watcher's Eye. This was very cheap. I'm not sure the price about the price, right now. But yeah, I even forgot to delete the price tag. Because this combination normally doesn't work on most builds. Because there are not much physical spells that people play these days. So this was an exception. If this Watcher's Eye is still cheap, just pause the video and buy right now. Zealotry, increased damage. It's a more damage multiplier. And Pride, double damage. So we just want more double damage. So we can just kill the bosses faster. If this combination doesn't exist or if it is expensive, just get a Pride, double damage. That's it. Very cheap normally. Finally, a Thread of Hope. Let's just also explain that. If you watched my Blade Trap build, you already know this is a very good location for trap builds. Thread of Hope with large ring. So make sure that you buy that. So you can get these notables that you want in these blue sections. Devastating Devices, crit chance, crit multiplier for traps. Blast Cascade, again crit multiplier. A chance to generate power charge, which is useless for this build because we are throwing only 1 trap at a time. So it is hard to get those charges with this build. So we just want this for that 30% crit multiplier. Expeditious, munitions, damage, area effect, blah blah blah. Assassination, crit multiplier. Widow Blades, crit physical damage. And finally, Master of Force, strength and physical damage. And also Overwhelm. You can easily cap your Overwhelm with these cluster jewels anyways. Because Overwhelm has actually a cap in this build, you cannot go to negative. Unlike Resistance Penetration, it works different on physical builds. For the gems, I'm just gonna mention one thing, maybe 2 things. So first of all, the buffs are obviously in our helmet because it has socketed gems have reduced reservation. I already said that in the gear section, obviously, while explaining. For Wall Rush Fire, if you know that the boss is gonna die 100%, just press this after you throw all your traps. Because Wall Rush Fire actually consumes your inner shield and you cannot throw anything after pressing that. So make sure that you put all your traps, everything, then press Wall Rush Fire if you know that the boss is gonna die. Otherwise, if you don't care about taking risks, you can actually use normal Rush Fire, which will provide more DPS, but obviously tries to burn you. So you cannot generate that life normally. You just want to maybe press your life flask. So you can also do this if you are a maniac. I did that on some bosses. If you also have a dowsing flask, maybe a mana flask, because you can just drink that 5 times I believe. Put a dowsing modifier that actually clears, ignites, because Rise Fire is actually an ignite effect. So you can just delete that with a dowsing flask. So on something like Cortex, because there are 4 different bosses as you know, so just use Rise Fire, kill the boss, drink that dowsing flask, and bam, you just clear your ignite. Second boss comes, throw all your traps, press Rise Fire, boss is dead, drink your dowsing flask, and bam. You can just do that if you are smart. That's what I did on some bosses. Or if you think that something is gonna die 100% sure, just press Wall Rise Fire, bam, boss is dead. Use your portal, go to your hideout, that's it. So this is about that. Curse setup, I don't have any curse rings or whatever. I don't want to make the build more expensive. That's why I am using an Arcane brand that uses these curses for me. So just attach this to the boss. This only works for the bosses because we are cursing with Arcane brand. A vulnerability obviously for physical damage, assassin mark for crit and crit multiplier. By using enhance we are also boosting these qualities because these are actually anomalies which provides curse effect and increased damage taken. So using an enhance actually boosts those. So another good DPS. This is like level 3. You can also buy a level 4 if you want. So this is your curse setup with Arcane's brand. Just put it on the boss. You don't even need to do anything else. For mobility dash obviously with second wind. Obviously use 1 bear trap at least on bosses. So the enemy take more damage from trap or mine hits. This provides lots of DPS. Bear trap is very important. This also slows enemies if they are immune to immobilize effects. So you can just slow something like Phoenix so he cannot even reach you. Very easy to kite those kind of bosses. And the main Seismic Trap setup, nothing much to explain. The only thing that I'm going to explain here, on like 80% of the clips I actually have advanced traps because on multi-boss fights we want more cooldown. Advanced traps have a lot of cooldown recovery rate. As you can see with this I have lower than 3-second cooldown on my Seismic. Without this almost 5 seconds, so there is a huge difference. So if you think that you can one-shot something, Sirus last phase, any Conqueror or Guardian, you can just, because these are again same color gems, just swap Hypothermia, go to the boss, one-shot the boss, swap like this again and keep playing. But if you are at a boss that has multi-boss combat, Cortex maybe, so lots of bosses that you are fighting in a short period of time, feared, any Maven invitation, maybe Maven herself, alright? Just use advanced traps all the time because you want more cooldown on that trap because the boss teleports everywhere, you miss your traps maybe, alright? You get the idea. So unless you can one-shot something, this is the setup you want to play. You want advanced traps for that lower cooldown. Otherwise, you can play like this. That's it. Thanks for watching. Play this right now before it gets nerfed. More builds are coming. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, join my Discord if you want to chat with me and other players. And if you are feeling generous, you can become a Patreon member for only like a couple of dollars. And I appreciate every bit of it. Thanks for watching and I will see you later.